നമസ്കാരം സഭാ ടി വിയിലേക്ക് സ്വാഗതം. സഭാ ടി വിയുടെ സവിശേഷ മുഖാമുഖ പരിപാടിയായ സെൻട്രൽ ഹാളിൽ ഇത്തവണ നമ്മോടൊപ്പം വിശിഷ്ടമായ ഒരു രാഷ്ട്രീയ വ്യക്തിത്വമാണ്.
KANIMOZHI KARUNANIDHI, a prominent figure in Indian politics, a writer and poet par excellence and a noted journalist. KANIMOZHI KARUNANIDHI represents the political party DMK from Thuthukudi constituency of Tamil Nadu in Lok Sabha. Daughter of the legendary political leader of Tamil Nadu, M. Karunanidhi, KANIMOZHI has carved a place of her own among the young and promising political leaders of our country.
ഇന്ത്യൻ രാഷ്ട്രീയത്തിലെ സജീവ സാന്നിധ്യമായ കനിമൊഴി, ഇതിഹാസ പുരുഷനായ എം കരുണാനിധിയുടെ മകൾ. യെസ് കനിമൊഴിജി, വി ഹാവ് ജസ്റ്റ് ഹേർഡ് യു ഗിവിംഗ് എ വെരി comprehensive, very spirited analysis of the women's movement in India, especially in relation to the constitution, and of course what is good in the constitution, what needs to be done, what is not so good. SABHA TV is from Kerala and you are from Tamil Nadu, and Tamil Nadu is considered to be one of the fastest growing societies in states in India in all terms, in terms of social indices, in terms of economic indices. So what is the striking similarity and dissimilarity between Kerala and Tamil Nadu when it comes to women's issues?
Similarity is that you had Narayana Guru and we had Periyar. Of course, he was an iconoclast and a complete total atheist, and he never failed to question anything, any religion, you know, and the fact is that no religion really gives the woman its due. So he questioned everything and anything which was held sacred. So our women's rights, you know, is strongly based on his works. I think Kerala and Tamil Nadu also have a tradition, because at one point together we were
we were part of the larger Madras presidency.
No, even before that we were together, and
Okay.
When you talk about Sangam poetry and our literature,
Absolutely.
everything we can come together and we share it and we own it together. So you had poets like Avayar, who broke traditions and who could question things. So I think our tradition comes from that also. So we've always had this in Kerala and in Tamil Nadu, we've had this questioning the authority, and I think your labor movement also comes from not accepting and giving in to authority always. So I think once the depressed and suppressed classes are strengthened, and then when they find a voice, women find voice along with them. So I think for us it came more from a social movement.
Right.
Your
Came from
more
it took a political orientation.
Yes.
With the advent of the Communist Party.
Yes, the Communist Party, and it comes from more from the labor movement.
Yeah, more of a class kind of consciousness.
Yes.
I mean, whatever you may say, whether we can say the caste is class in India, but then I think the Tamil Nadu.
No, but class can change, caste doesn't.
Right. That's the most important thing. I think that is the Tamil Nadu leaders and reformers. They had an understanding that the importance of caste and the factor, how much of significance caste is as a factor. So, but then that is also a plus, and also I think there are some shades of negativity also along with it. Like for example, the reformers understood caste, and the movement was built on a very strong backward caste and some Dalit representation, but primarily on a very backward caste orientation.
Suppressed and oppressed classes. I wouldn't say backward and Dalit.
Okay,
I said together.
Yeah. So, but then it had this element of caste assertion all through, whereas in Kerala, right from 1950s onwards, it took the route of the caste factor was kind of subdued. So, does it make any difference in terms of the larger society, and especially in terms of?
I definitely think, because one of the biggest social evils in this country is caste system. Like as we just mentioned that the class keeps changing. but there's no fluidity between the caste system. I mean, you can change all that, but you can never take the caste away from a person, and it is like a baggage which they carry throughout for generations. Yes, and that doesn't go away. So that has to, you have to hit at that and change that also. In Tamil Nadu, it was just not a social movement which wanted to reorganize, caste equations, but we wanted to go beyond that, talk about women's rights, and also about always, if today our Chief Minister talks about the Dravidian model, it is a my father always called himself, proudly, that if I wouldn't join, I wouldn't have just met Periyar, I would have been a communist. Okay. So it always based on a socialist model also. So that is why today we are till now Tamil Nadu has not accepted the labor code laws, and we've always believed that the unions and the labor rights are also very important. So we've worked on both together. It's not that we left behind one and worked on. Today in Tamil Nadu, I think nobody carries a caste name with their name.
Yeah, but then still you still hear about caste wars. I mean, especially between these various castes. Like, for example, you have, of course, some legendary movies also on the caste wars in Tamil Nadu. So that still remains. So
no, I am not saying that we've done away with caste system. We still have honor killings, and I am ashamed to admit that. So I'm not saying that we've. I mean, I don't think any country can say that. It
is completely annihilated caste.
Yes, no, at caste, or it has crossed the borders of class also. I mean, even countries which claim to. I mean, some are more equal. That is the truth. So that way, we are also working towards it, and all of us are working towards it. It's not just Tamil Nadu. I'm sure you're also doing that. So it is not that we've completely eradicated caste from the minds of people, but we are working.
But you're on the path.
Yes.
But another interesting thing which I've noticed, I mean, over the years, of course, we don't have much time, but so I'll keep the questions short. The very unique form of land reforms have happened in Tamil Nadu. Like, for example, Kerala land reforms is very much acclaimed, but I think the land reforms that has happened in Tamil Nadu is also equally significant. How has it impacted the women community? Land reforms.
See, the first land reforms which Kalangaram, when he was the chief minister, is giving lands, from dividing the zamindari lands where they held huge,
very effectively using the government to do it. Yeah.
It was given to farmers and people who worked on the farms. So today there is a lot of more egalitarian society, even in our rural areas, where everybody has an opportunity, and you don't have to practically shift into slavery and working under somebody. That has been done away with. And today, when land was given to women later by the government of Tamil Nadu, it was given in the names of women, and I think that. And of course, which I think Kerala, Tamil Nadu both brought, were one of the first states to bring in was property rights to women. Right. So all these have definitely made a lot of change when it comes to women, and when it comes to oppressed communities also.
But you said something very interesting while you were speaking. You said that there are many progressive laws across many states, but what is the quantum of implementation?
Yes, that
where does Tamil Nadu stand on that scale, on a scale of 10?
I think we have to honestly do, I mean, I would love to, give you a figure, but we should do an impact report, a study, a survey, and, all states. About laws and schemes which we have brought, and to really
that should be something
retrospect.
That should be a clear exercise for the 75th anniversary of independence.
Yes, I think that should be the
Asadi ka Amrit Manthan.
What is Manthan?
Manthan is churning.
Okay.
I mean, what happened apparently during the Asura war.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, I think I'll conclude with one question. I know that you have a flight to catch. That's the only reason I'm letting you go. Otherwise, the thing is, where does Tamil Nadu have to go in terms of women empowerment? What are the unfinished agendas, if you face this, in terms of these caste equations, in terms of and women empowerment, and of course, in larger socio-economic parameters, but with a special focus on women?
See, we are working. After COVID. Women, every family household, had less money to spend. So, our Chief Minister, it was an election promise also that we will make public transport free for women. So, I think that has really helped, for the mobility of women, for them to go and find jobs in spaces and places which they would not have, reached out to. So, that way it's strengthening them, and of course, the SHGs did go a long way. Today, we had a scheme for the Tamil Nadu marriage scheme for women in Tamil Nadu who finish their school, so that it would ensure that a girl child will finish her school, and the government supports with 25,000 or 50,000 when they get married. So now that scheme has been changed to a girl child going into college.
Okay.
So she gets 1,000 rupees till she finishes her college.
Okay.
That is, it can be her basic degree or her PhD or PhD. Till
1,000
that,
rupees a month.
1,000 rupees a month, as long as she is
that's good money.
But she has to continue her education.
Okay.
So, yes, so I think this is a big change, and the emphasis has shifted now. That school education is no longer, we've achieved that, and now we are looking at higher education. But then we are in India. We are only 20%. Our women labor force is only 20%, and it's abysmally low compared to many of the countries around us. So where are these educated women going? Sitting at homes and cooking. So I think all that has to change, and safety in workplaces. We have to ensure safety in workplaces. We have to ensure safety in protection in public spaces, and in social media. So there are a lot of things. So as changes happen, as technology comes in, as development happens, as women go from one space to another, I think much more things have to be redeveloped, rethought and restructured, keeping them also in mind, because it's always been a man's world.
Right. Also, you spoke about higher education, but higher education also has been designed in such a manner as well as to fit the man's world.
Yes.
So, but is there
higher education, politics, everything?
Is there some kind of thought on how to change the parameters and of these higher education courses and stuff like that? Is there a conscious rethinking in terms of syllabus?
I mean, that also has to, you need to put, unfortunately in our country we do not invest much into research and development when it comes into education. We have something which was created maybe a few centuries ago, to put it in a way, but we have to keep working on it, and that doesn't happen. And when they do bring changes, it is like imposing something else, political agendas and really other agendas into education.
Okay.
So if you bring in the new education policy, I'm worried whether
I remember
all that we fought for will go back another 50 or 100 years.
Not 100 years, I think it will go back even more.
Maybe. Soon we'll be talking about the greatness of Sati.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think one of the speakers today spoke about Rishi Manu as a very important liberator of.
Unfortunately, I don't know. Fortunately, I don't understand much of Hindi.
Yeah, you spoke about how Tamil Nadu has crossed this 50% limit in terms of reservation.
Yes.
Can you just explain it? I think this would be the last question.
Explain it.
This 50, you said 50% reservation has been.
No, women's reservation in panchayats,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
which
yeah.
you've also done, and
yeah.
so
but just
we've crossed. Yes, 50% of the seats are reserved for women, and
Yeah.
women contested in those seats.
Yeah,
and there are women who've contested in seats which are called
Not-
the
yeah,
general category,
Yeah.
and which men like to call as men's seats,
Seat,
but
yeah.
women have contested
Yeah.
there and they've won. So they have crossed that 50% ceiling, which is
The total
there.
percentage would come to, I mean, the elected women representatives along with the women's reservation seats and plus the other seats, they will cross, they will be more than 50%.
Yes, definitely more than 50%, and we have a lot of panchayat leaders and mayors, around 11 mayors, I think, who are women.
Right. Anyway, I think as you very rightly said, we have achieved something, these two states, but we also have a long way to go.
Yes.
And we hoped that you will continue your conversation with the Sabha TV in the future as well.
Sure, definitely, with pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
for
and thank you
spending-
for the opportunity.
Yeah.